So, you're headed to northern Vietnam. Fantastic. But I'm guessing you're here because you want more than just a vacation, right? You want a real journey. We're going to explore how to make your trip to Hanoi and Sapa a deeply meaningful experience, one that's going to stick with you long after you're back home.
So how do you do that? How do you find the real story? Well, it starts by going way beyond the typical checklist of tourist sites. It's about learning to see what's hiding in plain sight. The layers of history, the patterns of daily life, the stories that are written right into the landscape and the architecture.
You learn to read the signs. And that is exactly what we are going to do together. Let's start by learning how to read Vietnam's incredible capital, Hanoi, a city that's absolutely defined by its fascinating contrasts. To really get Hanoi, you have to understand this constant dialogue, and yes, sometimes a clash, between two very different ideas of what a city should be. And you can see this story play out perfectly when you compare its two most famous districts, the Old Quarter and the French Quarter.
First, just a little context, because it's super important. Hanoi isn't just old. It's been a center of power for over 1,000 years. Think about that. From its beginnings as an imperial capital, through the French colonial period, and right into the birth of modern Vietnam, this is a city that has been forced to reinvent itself again and again. And you can literally feel those layers as you walk its streets.
And here's where you see it so clearly. Two worlds, right next to each other. On one hand, you have the Old Quarter. Organic, chaotic, bustling with Vietnamese commerce, all winding streets. It feels like the city's very soul. And then, bam, right next to it, you've got the French Quarter. Grand boulevards, imposing colonial villas, a very orderly grid. It was designed to be a clear, unmistakable statement of power.
Now this is a perfect example of that famous Vietnamese ingenuity, the tube house. The reason they look like this is that property used to be taxed based on the width of the storefront. So what did people do? They built incredibly narrow and then just went way, way deep. It's such a clever solution for combining a shop at the front with family life in the back. They're basically living museums of community and commerce.
And you know, the layout of the Old Quarter isn't random at all. You'll see a ton of street names that start with the word hang, which means merchandise. That's because each street was historically its own specific guild. You had the Silver Street, the Bamboo Street, the Paper Street. Each one was like a tiny craft village supplying the imperial court and powering the whole economy. It's this incredible living testament to Vietnamese resilience and creativity.
All right, let's switch gears. We're leaving the city buzz behind and heading up, way up, into the mountains. The story of Sapa gives us a completely different, but just as complex, look at Vietnamese history.
This quote, wow, it just gets right to the heart of why Sapa even exists in its modern form: to escape the death in the tropics. For the French officials, the heat and diseases of the lowlands were a real threat, so they built these hill stations, like Sapa, as high-altitude sanctuaries, a place to recover in a climate that felt a little more like home.
But, and this is a really important but, the mountains were not empty. Long before Sapa was a colonial retreat, it was, and still is, home to this incredible, rich mosaic of different ethnic communities who have lived here for centuries. And this chart shows something that might totally surprise you. The Kin people, who are the ethnic majority across Vietnam, are actually a minority up here in the Sapa region. The highlands are overwhelmingly the home of groups like the Hmong and the Dao, each with their own unique languages, clothing, and traditions.
So let's just look at the two largest groups. The Black Hmong are true masters of terraced rice farming. Those landscapes they've carved are works of art. You'll know them by their stunning, deep blue, indigo-dyed clothing. Then you have the Red Dao, who are unmistakable with their huge, elaborate red turbans. They are renowned for their deep knowledge of herbal medicine. And remember, what you're seeing isn't a costume. It's a powerful, living part of their identity.
Okay, so the big question is, how do you, as a traveler, connect with these deep cultural roots in a way that's actually meaningful? It's all about looking for experiences, not just sightseeing. Back in the Hanoi area, you have to see a water puppet show. I mean, it's one of the most unique things you'll ever witness. It started with rice farmers more than 1,000 years ago who used their flooded paddies as a stage. It's this magical performance that tells stories of village life and ancient legends, all with puppeteers hidden from view, controlling the puppets through the water. It's just incredible. And up in the highlands, going to a weekly market like the big one at Bac Ha on a Sunday is absolutely essential. But remember, you're not just watching people shop, you're seeing a vital social event. This is where different ethnic groups from all the surrounding hills gather to trade news, share food, and just strengthen their community bonds. It's truly the heartbeat of the region.
If you do any hiking or trekking, there is no better experience than a traditional red Dao herbal bath afterwards. Now, this isn't just some spa treatment. This is a direct connection to the deep ecological knowledge of the red Dao people. You're soaking in a practice that's been passed down for generations to soothe tired muscles and heal the body. It's amazing.
And of course, you can connect through food. Every dish here tells a story about the mountains. The salmon hot pot uses fish that are farmed right there in the cool mountain streams. Smoked buffalo meat is a traditional way to preserve food for the long winter. And thang ko, a traditional hamong stew, really speaks to a history of resourcefulness and using every part of the animal.
So, to pull all this together, let's talk about the right mindset to carry with you on your journey. It's a way to make sure your trip is as enriching for the communities you visit as it is for you.
This stuff is really simple, but it's so powerful. Always ask for permission before you take a picture of someone. It acknowledges them as a person, not just an image. Dressing a little more modestly when you visit villages is a huge sign of respect. And, this is a big one, if you can, buy handicrafts directly from the person who made them. You're not just getting a souvenir, you're honoring their skill and directly supporting the family. It's these small things that create really positive connections.
Because ultimately, the goal isn't just to see things, it's to understand them. The most valuable thing you'll bring home from this trip won't fit in your suitcase. To help you deepen that understanding, I want you to carry a few questions around with you in your mind.
As you walk through Hanoi, just think about this. How can a country absorb so many different powerful influences, from imperial China to French colonialism, and still hold on to such a strong, unique identity? What does that tell you about the spirit of the people?
And then up in Sapa, just observe, watch the delicate balance. How does the huge boom in tourism both support and challenge the traditional ways of life for the Hong and Xiao communities? You'll see ancient crafts finding new life, but you'll also see the pressures of the modern world.
And finally, this is the most important question of all. When it's all said and done, what story are you going to bring home? I hope it's a story that goes way beyond the beautiful photos. I hope it's a story about connection, about understanding a complex and resilient culture, and about the profound beauty you discovered when you learned to read the signs.